My name is Joe, and we are here with the 1994. Is that mirrored? It might be mirrored. That's annoying. How do we flip that? I don't know. Let's see what it looks like on the stream. Has it begun yet? So we can get this started. Oh, we got the thumbnail upside down. I like that. Is that showing mirrored? Or is that showing correctly? No, not showing correctly. Okay, just mirrored for me when I look at it on my phone. We got the 1994 Payoff Pitch Baseball season. It's been a little while since I've streamed regularly, and one of the reasons is I've been jumping games around a little bit, just been busy at work, that kind of thing, but also because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do on the channel, and finally kind of got settled in to this, you good? Right behind you, babe. This 1994 idea that I've been wanting to do for a while. Which I know is a pretty popular project, but I've been playing my 73 Payoff Pitch a little bit. I've been playing some 68 Strat, which I played a game on the channel, I think, maybe two. I just wanted to get this 94 project off to a start. The reason being that I played the 73 a lot with Digital Diamond, and I have not really been doing score sheets with it. My laptop's not great for streaming. As far as doing that with a webcam and being able to show the cards. So I wanted to get back to my basic presentation with a little bit of cards and dice for the channel. So I thought what I would do is stream 1994 exclusively on the channel, stream every game. I'm going to do as played for the games that occurred, and then we're going to fill in the blanks for the rest of the season. Obviously, that's a monster project. It's going to take a really long time. I don't know if that's 2,430 games. Do we have 30 teams in 94? Or was it 28? But it's in that neighborhood of 22 to 2,400 games. So in order to do that, I actually have to open up the set here and get the cards sorted. I've never done this project with any season, any system. I do have the 94 Strat set. I've never actually played it. I have the 94 APBA set. I played a little bit of it. But Payoff Pitch has become very much my game of choice lately. I love that they card all the players. I love the way the game engine works. And so we're going to do the 94 season in Payoff Pitch on the channel exclusively. It's not going to be the only thing we do, but it's going to be the majority of the play for a while. So what I'm going to do is get these cards sorted in some kind of order, and then we'll go from there. All right, so try to break out. I really ought to see how many. Hey, Dav, you're looking at buying the same set. I know. I think it's a popular set, man. I think no matter what game you play, it's a popular set, right? I have to check my facts here. Hey, Kevin, great season, right? It is. And it's one of those seasons that we all wonder what would have happened with certain things, right? Would Gwynn have hit 400? Pretty unlikely. Would anybody have hit 60? Would Bagwell have won the Triple Crown? Those are kind of the questions that I think we all wanted to answer. Would the Expos have won the World Series and finally captured one? So those sort of things. Matt Williams, that's right. Matt Williams is having a monster year. Let's see. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope, so it's a 2018. 2018, which means how many games? Math is failing me right now. If we do a full season, 28 times, let's say 81 home games each, 2,268 games. Oscar, be good. Be good. So my wife's doing some cooking outside, jumping in and out, and I am sitting here relaxing. She's taking care of our food prep for the week. I really appreciate that. So let's say we did one game a day. or 7 games a week. Let's say 7 games a week. We'll divide by 7. That's going to be 324 weeks. Divided by 52. And that's a 6-year project. So that's going to take quite a chunk of time here on the channel. And then that's pretty much my goal, is to do 1 game a day. And just be able to get on here and broadcast and have some fun with players that I remember really well. We start right off the top with Sid Fernandez on the Baltimore Orioles. So we got 28 teams. I need 4 rows of 7. We'll start with the American League up top. Otis Nixon for Boston. Aaron Seeley for Boston. And we can do 3 rows of like 10 maybe. That might work too. 2 rows of 10 and an 8. John Farrell, California. Ron Karkovice of the White Sox. Scott Ruffcorn, that's a name I barely remember. Jerry DiPoto for Cleveland. Here's Kirk Gibson for Detroit. And Kurt Knutson for Detroit. What kind of season was Gibson having? He had 23 homers in that limited 94 season. That's pretty good. Kevin Napier for Kansas City. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do 4 by 7. We'll stretch it out so we have 3 rows. So Kansas City. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 teams. Mike Matheny of Milwaukee. Oh, let me bring my stream back up so I can chat with you guys. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate that, man. I'm looking forward to playing it. 6, 7, 8, 9. I need one more team here. So we've got Angel Miranda of Milwaukee and Rick Aguilera of Minnesota. So the first row will take us to Minnesota, assuming that they didn't skip any teams in the first distribution here. And then there's the my all-time favorite player, folks, Donnie Mattingly. Donnie Baseball was in his second to last season in '94. He hung on for 95, and they still couldn't win one. So number 23 could never win the Yankees' 23rd championship. They won it as soon as he retired, with Tino Martinez playing first. But yeah, a nice long project for us. So New York will start the second row here. I know you guys can't see the rows, but here's Bob Ojeda on the Yankees. Okay, Mark Aker for Oakland. If there's anybody you specifically want to see as I shout it out, let me know. Here's Griffey. Monster card for Griffey in limited play. He's got a 1/78 homer on the wheelhouse on the left-hand side, 1/68 homer wheelhouse on the right-hand side, and it's a, if you're wondering, a 40 homer season in that strike-shortened 94 season for Griffey. Here's Milt Hill. I don't know if we're going to read every name, but Doug Strange for Texas. Domingo Cedeno. I've just been feeling kind of bad about not being able to figure out what project I want to do on the channel. Because I'm playing a lot, but I'm not streaming a lot. So I think if I can stream a game a day, maybe 2 on the weekends, like if we can get 9 or 10 games done a week, then that'll be fun. And we'll have some continuity on the channel. And meanwhile, I'll keep playing what I want to play off channel. I'm going to skip a spot so I know where. See if that's 14. That's 10, 11, 12, 15. I got 15. What did I do wrong? Baltimore, Boston. Oh, I got 2 Boston piles. So let's slide over. So it'll actually, row 1 will actually end with the American League New York team. So we'll actually make the middle row 4 of each. So we start with Bill Pacoda for Atlanta, followed by Jose Hernandez for the Cubs, Randy Myers for the Cubs. He had 21 saves that year. Frank Thomas, monster card. Man, Thomas in the early 90s had Ruthian numbers, didn't he? Eddie Talbensee for Cincinnati. Here's Joey Girardi for Colorado, my wife's favorite all-time player for some weird reason. I don't know why. That's her favorite player. Jeter a close second. But. And we're back to, we got a couple of National League teams, then we go right back to Mike Devereaux for Baltimore. Jamie Moyer for Baltimore. He was 32. He was in his prime. Who the hell knew he pitched till he was, what, 47? Or 48? I forget. Who would have thought Jamie Moyer at 32 had another 15 or 16 years of baseball in him? That's wild. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift the stacks up here so I can grab them. And that way they won't be about to be knocked off the table by my elbow. Here's John Valentin for Boston. Gary DiSarcina for the Angels. And Craig Lefferts for the Angels. 30 games pitched. Here's Warren Newson for the White Sox. Ruben Amaro for the Indians. Albie Lopez. Tony Phillips for Detroit. 429 on base versus lefties, 402 versus righties, and a 19-homer season. So nice season for Tony Phillips there. An underrated player. Ubi Brooks for the Royals and Jose De Jesus. Here's Jody Reed, a gamer for sure from Milwaukee, and Bill Wegman. Scott Erickson with an 8-11 record in 94 for the Twins. And here's Dave Silvestri, 18 at-bats for the Yankees in 94. Dave Silvestri, a name I barely remember. Bob Wickman, good relief year for Wickman in 94. And Vince Horseman, the unfortunately named Horseman. Here's an Edgar card. Edgar Martinez. Not a great season for Edgar in 94, oddly enough. 13 homers. I don't know what, it's a split card, so I don't know what his actual batting average was. He looks like he hit around 280, which is a low season for Edgar in his 31-year-old season for the Mariners. There's Bill Risley for Seattle. But 94 was a hell of a year, and a year that it's a shame we didn't get to see whether it was going to be a Yankee-Toronto World Series that year, and maybe Mattingly's best shot. I was showing green for Toronto, by the way, followed by Todd Stottlemyre. Maybe Mattingly's best shot at winning a title in 94 as well. Steve Avery for the Braves. Mark Parent for the Cubs. Randy Virez. Hector Carrasco for Cincinnati. Chris Jones for Colorado. And Kevin Ritz for Colorado. And now we're going to get the second row of National Leagues here. They got Mark Gardner, Tony Eusebio for Houston. So I think it'll be a really fun project. And I really miss having something to focus on every day on the channel. So while I will stream some one-offs here and there, my goal is going to be to keep up at least with the one game a day on the project on the channel. So hopefully we all enjoy that. Here's John Franco, the Mets. Dave Hollins for Philly. And Kurt Schilling for Philadelphia. 2-8 was Schilling in 94. Go figure. Pre-Red Sox success, right? He's 28 in 94. Jeff Ballard for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Ricky Gutierrez for the San Diego Padres. And Tim Mauser for the Padres. Robbie Thompson, a gamer, for the Giants. And Ray Langford, very good card. 19 homers for Langford. 94 for the Cardinals. A little Mike Perez action. And here's a combined card, the first one we've come across. We're just going to put those aside. And now we're all over the place. Here's a California card, Jeff Schwartz. Yeah, West was terrible in 94. Texas was in first place, 10 games under 500. I don't remember that. That'll be an interesting division to keep an eye on as time goes on. Well, these are all over the place a little bit at the bottom of the stack. Here's a New York card. Robert Einhorn, or Einhorn? I guess it's Einhorn. I remember his name. I don't remember how to say it. Jeff Darwin for the Mariners. Steve Peggs, or Pegwes? How do you say that? I don't know. I'd say Peggs, but I might be wrong. Or Pegwes. Maybe it's Pegwes. For the Reds. Sean Hare for the Mets. Or somewhere. There they are. H-A-R-E. I don't remember him at all. First card I've seen I don't remember a lick of. Keith Lockhart for the Padres. And here's the Detroit Stadium card. A hitter's ballpark in 94 for sure. 1-73 wheelhouse on both sides, lefty or righty. So that's a bit of a launching pad there. Bagis. See, I would have never got that. Thanks, Dav. Bagis. So there's the Tigers Stadium card. And followed immediately by Candlestick Park, which is also a pretty good launching pad. 1-69 lefty, 1-62 righty. So that'll be a fun one, too. San Fran. And here's Cal Ripken in Baltimore. A solid season for Cal. 345 versus lefties, 305 versus righties. 13 homers, much more power against righties. He had 11 of his homers against right-handed versus only 2 versus lefties. He's only homering once every 55 at bats, but a 345 batting average against lefties. So that's a pretty good card for Ripken. That'll be fun to play with. Mark Williamson. Gar Finvold. If you would have told me that was a baseball player, I would have never believed you. I don't remember that guy at all. Gar Finvold. Bonds and Fielder make the ballpark cards hitter friendly. Yeah, they're probably all pretty good wheelhouses in '94, right? Gar Finvold for the Red Sox. Here's Spike Owen, the well-traveled Spike Owen for the California Angels. Bill Sampson. Wilson Alvarez for the Cubbies, for the White Sox, 12-8. Here's a Kenny Lofton card. Really nice card for Lofton this year. Holy crap. 60 steals. Probably led the league if I was guessing. A 331 average versus lefties, 359 versus righties. He slugged over 500 versus both. There's got to be a lot of extra base hits there. And even some home run power, 12 homers. And over 400 versus both sides. So, incredible card for Lofton this year. Yeah, really nice. And his steal rating's an 8B, which is pretty damn good. He's going to get a lot of opportunities on the auto steals. Eric Plunk for the Indians. Joe Beaver for Detroit. Dave Howard for Kansas City. Rusty Meacham. Is he related to Bobby? I have no idea. Rusty Meacham for the Royals. Ricky Bowens for Milwaukee, a 10-9 record. Scott Leyes. Remember Scott Leyes was a solid player for the Twins. Third baseman and shortstop here. Dave Stevens for the Twins. Don't remember him. Pretty generic name, hard to remember. Unless he was really good, and apparently he wasn't. Joe Osanio, I remember as a Yankee. 2-1, 5.17 ERA in 13 games for New York. Here's Brent Gates for the Athletics. Bell was a monster year, too. You're absolutely right, Dev. A lot of monster years this year. Bagwell. That's not the Bagwell card. That was Carlos Reyes. Here's Brian Terang for Seattle. Rusty Greer for Texas. 10-homer season for Greer. Looks like he hit about 300. Based on a 332 versus righties and a 264 and 70 at-bats versus lefties. Bruce Hurst for Texas, somehow hanging on for 8 starts in his 836 season. A 2-1 record despite a 7.11 ERA for Bruce Hurst and the Rangers. Devon White, solid season, 13 homers, 306 versus lefties for the Blue Jays. And here's David Justice for Atlanta. Nice card. Probably looks like he hit about 310. 15 homers versus righties, 4 versus lefties. 15 homers and only 230 at-bats. That's a killer card versus righties. And a 574 slugging average, which it doesn't even come near leading the league, I bet you. I'm pretty sure there's some guys in the 600s and 700s. I don't know about 700s, definitely 600s. Here's Kent Merker, spot starter for the Braves, 9-4, 3.45. Eduardo Zambrano for the Cubbies. It'll be fun to see the Bell card, actually, now that you think of that. Tony Fernandez, solid season for Cincinnati. He's a middle infield utility player for the Reds. How old is Tony that year? 32. Just end of his prime. Jose Rijo, here we go. 9-6, 3.08. Very, very good. Interestingly, more hits than innings pitched. 177 hits, 172 innings pitched, but only 52 walks. So that keeps him in the ballpark, I guess. Speaking of, well, yeah, he only allowed 16 homers in 26 games, so that's pretty good for Rijo. Here's Eric Young for Colorado. He was pretty good too, wasn't he? No, it was an okay season for him. 294 against righties, only 215 against lefties, though. Looks like he primarily played left field, but he's carded for second base. Here's Chucky Carr for the Florida Marlins, switch hitting center fielder. And Kurt Miller. 1-3, 8.10. Folks, 8.10 ERA for Kurt Miller. Thomas, Bell, and Bagwell all slugged over 700. Thomas had a 487 on base. He was an on-base machine, wasn't he? I remember he's probably the last player I talked baseball about with my dad. Because my dad, was I living with my dad in 94? Yeah, I think I was actually living with my dad in 94. I was between... it was a year or so after my mom died. They were divorced. and I'm still getting on my feet. I would have been 20. I turned 21 in '94. So yeah, I'm still figuring things out back then. Still figuring things out now. Here's Roger McDowell as a Dodger. 32 games in relief of 5.23 ERA. Pretty good Lenny Webster backup catcher card for the Expos. He hit .303 versus lefties. But yeah, we talked about Frank Thomas, and I remember his first 3 seasons, which I guess were probably, I don't know if he started in 90 or 91, but his first 3 seasons were seriously Ruthian in terms of batting average, on base, and slugging. Like, nobody had started a career like that in a really long time. A pretty terrible Jeremy Burnett's card here. He's on the Mets. Doug Litton for the Mets. Todd Pratt for Philadelphia. Pretty awful. Midge Cummings. Midge, or Midra, but I think it was Midge. One of the best batting eyes as a slugger for sure. Yeah, he didn't swing at too many bad pitches. He knew how to take a walk as soon as he came into the league, and that was a big, big advantage for him. Here's Dan Maselli. We're still on the first stack here. We're just having a good time, taking it easy. Rip Roberts for the Padres. Todd Benzinger, a pretty clutch hitter back in the day. First baseman for the San Francisco Giants. Is he backing up Clark in '94? I guess we'll find out. Steve Fry. Steve Fry or Frey? I would say Fry off the top of my head, but it might be Frey. 44 games in relief for San Fran. And Stan Royer for the St. Louis Cardinals. Backup first and third baseman with 57 at-bats that year for the Cardinals. Here's a Tom Bernansky card, combined total. What kind of year did Bruno have? 10 homers and about I want to say 240 batting average. So not a great one. Not a combined. Here's Andy Tomberlin for the Red Sox. Left-handed outfielder and pitcher. Figure that one out. He must have pitched an inning or two. And that's what I love about Payoff Pitch, man. It's one of the reasons I have a hard time. I miss Strat. I pulled out 68 for Strat, and I played like 4 games, and I was like, man. And I was playing Basic, so take it for what it's worth. But I love Strat Basic for the last 15 years, and I can't get myself away from Payoff Pitch, guys. I don't know what to tell you. But here's Andy Tomberlin for Boston. Russ Swan for the Cleveland Indians. Got to be careful, we're skipping around here. Steve Sachs on the Oakland A's. 34 years old, 24 at-bats. I don't know if that was the end of his career or if he had another cup of coffee after that. Chuck Jackson, 2 at-bats versus righties and not a base hit. But I like what they do here. This guy had 2 at-bats versus righties. He's got wheelhouse singles and patient walks. Possible. So he could get a hit. Have a 1 in 100 chance on a wheelhouse, but he could get a hit for the Texas Rangers. Yeah. Guy got a 2 at-bat cup of coffee. Give him a shot. The Legends and Bust sets you want to buy. Dav, I'm conflicted about that one. I'll definitely pick it up for the collection at some point, but I don't know what I would do with it. I'm really into playing seasons right now, and if I start getting distracted by draft league projects and that sort of thing, I'm in deep trouble. I already have what a phrase I coined as projectitis, man. I already have way too many projects. I'm trying to really stick to my 73 replay and now do this 94 replay on camera. So it's Russ Morman for Florida. Here's Tom Quinlan for the Phillies. Eric Johnson for San Fran. These are a lot of guys here with very limited play time. It's interesting how they order these. I don't know how they print them out, but it's pretty interesting. Here's the ballpark in Arlington, which is a pitcher's park in '94, pretty much. 1-51 wheelhouse versus lefties, 1-37 versus righties. That qualifies as a pitcher's park in '94. So the Rangers can rely on their great pitching. Yeah, okay. They have a killer lineup, I'm sure. Those '90s Rangers were something else. Here's a young Armando Benitez. Just a glimpse of his stuff at 22 years old. He pitched 3 games. 10 innings pitched, 8 hits, 14 Ks for Armando Benitez. It's a nice card, but only going to get limited use, obviously, for the Orioles. Mike Greenwell for Boston, 31 years old, 11 homers that year. Chris Nabholz, 6.64 ERA in 8 starts. There's going to be a lot of blown-up ERAs, man. Brian Anderson, 18 games started, 7-5 with a 5.22. He had a winning record with a 5.2 ERA. That's nuts for the Angels. Dan Howitt, Dan with two N's. I don't remember him for the White Sox. Dane Johnson, not Dwayne Johnson, Dane Johnson. Omar Vizquel, arguably the best shortstop of the 90s. It was one of the weird ones. He's an E4, which is great, and that's above average in payoff pitch, right? But he's a range C, which is average. It seems light to me for Omar at his age 27 season, but I know Joe kind of chatted about this on Facebook a bit, and they're really just made to get the stats right, man. So sometimes, like you used to see in Vizquel as a 1 or maybe a 2 range in strat probably, or whatever you play. And he's saying here, yeah, I know, it's like too many projects, too little time, man. So when I see Vizquel as an average range with an above average like E rating, it's like it's a little off-putting, but I did some math on it because Mattingly was graded as like a really weird rating for one season, somebody mentioned. And it works out to having like 6 errors for the season based on the way the game plays. So it's kind of interesting. So much more. The ratings are less subjective and more objective, I guess, in terms of getting the stats right. So we'll see how it plays out. So far in 73, the overall league ratings are spot on through about, I want to say 90 games total played. So some games use double play involvement as a measure too. Also true, and I love the way the double plays work here, actually. How the pitchers and batters have a rating and they're combined. Here's the Cecil Fielder card. Nice season for Cecil. 260 batting average, pretty much. 28 homers. And he's a terrible range. He's an A. Right? That's the worst. That's the other thing that gets me wrong. Sometimes high is good, sometimes high is bad. No, I guess that's the best. So that's a weird one, right? He's got an A range, but an E3. So he's going to get through a lot of balls. It's weird. But it all works together in the engine, and it works pretty damn well from what I've seen. Here's Bill Gullickson, another guy. 19 games started, a 5.93 ERA. He's only a 4-5 record. Such a weird year. Brian McRae. Remember when everybody thought he was going to be a superstar? He had a couple of good years, but didn't quite live up. He had a similar season to his dad, I guess, for the Kansas City Royals. Brian Harper from Milwaukee. Pretty good year for Harper. Wow. Forgot about him. I remember him on the Twins, not the Brewers. I wonder if he splits the season. Mark Kiefer from Milwaukee. 1-0. 7 games in relief. 1-0. 8.44 ERA. Mind-boggling. He gave up 4 homers in 10 innings, so that'll explain that. Here's Jeff Rebele for the Twins. Mike Gallego. So he's a shortstop B3. So pretty good range, average error rating. Scott Kamenicki. How many I's and E's can we get into one name? It was a pretty good season for him. 8-6 in 16 games started. 3.76 for the Yanks. Craig Paquette for the A's. Mike Blowers for Seattle. Blowers a 9-homer season. Hit about 290. Dave Fleming. 23 games started. 7-11 record. 6.46 ERA. It's going to be some high-scoring games, folks. Gary Redus with a limited role, 33 at-bats for Texas. Pat Borders, the catcher for Toronto. He's an E1, which is the worst. Yeah, he's the worst possible E rating. He's got a 3-arm and he's a C range. So, Darren Hall for Toronto. Mike Mordecai for the Braves. 4 at-bats. Sean Dunston. 11 homers, still slugging away as Dunston in his age 31 season for the Cubbies. Jose Guzman, 2-2 and 9.15 ERA. Al Morris, 362 against right-handers for the left-handed first baseman Morris for the Reds. Here's Ellis Burks, a 13-homer season, hit over 300 against both sides and about 150 at-bats, probably injury-plagued there for the Rockies. I guess probably everybody on the Rockies hit over 300, right? Welcome to baseball in mid-late 90s, and ERA of 4 was good. Yeah, I guess that's true. Here's Kurt Liskanek, also the Rockies. Dave Magadan. Age 32 season on the decline there. He didn't hit 300 for the Marlins. Here's the Bagwell card. 44 homers and exactly 400 at bats. He hit 457 against lefties. 18 homers and 105 at bats. 18 homers against left-handed pitching in just 105 at bats. That's insane. That's almost like 1 every 5, right? That's nuts. 1 every 6, 6.5. That's crazy. 544 on base. And 1,000 slugging percentage. 1,095 slugging percentage. That's insane. Against, I don't even want. Why would you even put a left-hander in there? You just walk him every time. You're better off. And a respectable, 26 homers and 295 at bats. So not quite 1 every 10. 336 average, 418 on base, 695 slugging. That's going to be a fun card to play with, and a horrific card for every pitcher who faces him. That's why I want to do this project. I think it's just going to be a damn fun baseball. And we'll spot it in with some some good pitching matchups from '73, just so everybody doesn't lose their minds, right? Nutty. And playing in the Astrodome. We got to see the Astrodome card. We didn't get there yet. Here's Harnish. He's an 8-5 winning record in 17 games started, 5.4 ERA. So yeah, like you said, 4 was elite. And I can't wait to see Pedro's card, because isn't it insane compared to everybody else? Here's Henry Rodriguez. Forgot about this guy for the Dodgers. Left-handed outfielder. Moises Alou. Crazy season for the Expos. Moise was an MVP contender for sure, but his numbers look pedestrian in '94, right? He hit about 340, it looks like. 22 homers, and close to a 600 slugging percentage, and he's not a league leader. But one of the reasons the Expos were so good, definitely the heart and soul of that team, and Moise Alou. Butch Henry. This guy's got a 2.43 ERA. This guy was killing it for the Expos. Spot starter and reliever. 8-3, 2.43 in 15 games started, 24 games overall. Absolutely killing it. And he didn't walk anybody. That's why 20 walks and 107 innings pitched. It's actually fun going through a card by card. Usually I just try to get them sorted so I can play, but it's fun just kind of glancing at them. Luis Rivera for the Mets. Okay. 43 at-bats as a backup middle infielder. Here's Pete Smith for New York. 5.55 ERA in 21 games started. Can you guess his record? It's actually pretty crappy, 4-10. I don't believe the '94 Mets were very good. I don't remember it, but I don't believe they were very good. Tommy Green, 27 years old, 2-0, 4.54 in 7 games started. Orlando Merced, solid hitter for the Pirates. Paul Wagner. I thought that said Paul Wainer for a second. I was like, they put the wrong card in here. I don't remember him. Apparently he started 17 games, 7-8, 4.59. Maddox's card is insane too? Yeah, I bet it is. Mark Davis for San Diego. Somehow they let this guy pitch 20 games in relief, 16 innings, an 8.82 ERA. 8.82. 13 walks in 16 innings, 4 homers, yeah. Just load the bases and give up bombs, man. Dave Martinez, always a solid bench option for the Giants, left-handed hitter. Kevin Rogers, not to be confused with Kenny, for the Giants. Here's Frank Cimarelli. Don't remember him. St. Louis Cardinals. A couple of combined total cards. Here's Andy Tomlin back to the Red Sox. He pitched 1 game, 2 innings, 1 hit. That'll be a fun one. And some of these guys might get some of these bit players. I'm gonna have to figure out how we do the back end of the season, but we're probably gonna let the game dictate injuries and stuff like that as best we can. So that'll be fun. I thought about doing the whole season that way and just letting the engine kind of do things, but I really want a good indicator of how things would have gone. So I feel like doing as played for the games that actually happened is the way to go, and then we'll have some fun seeing what the game engine comes up with on the latter half in about 5 years. About 5 years. Figure the bit players get more playing time, right? They have to. Here's Bernansky from Milwaukee. That's the second time. Oh no, we had his combined totals card before. He didn't play very much for Milwaukee. 28 at bats, so he did the most of his playing somewhere else. Here's Darren Bragg for the Mariners. Very, very limited play time. Roberto Perez. Toronto, 8 at bats. Brian Harvey for Florida. Here's another Junior Noboa card for Pittsburgh. Steve Dixon for St. Louis. And here's the Astrodome. Well, you know what? Astrodome's pretty neutral. Pretty neutral in 94. 1/54 wheelhouse lefty, 1/51 righty. So pretty neutral park, really, for 94. That's almost a pitcher's park by 1994 standards. And we get a blank card. Those are always fun. That was the first stack, folks. We're on to stack 2 of 6. Pardon me, I get a drink of water here. I like having the multiple projects going on, but I like having the focus for them so that I end up just playing too many different things at once and never get anything done. So pretty happy with my progress in 73 right now. I want to keep it up. Start with the National League here, Milt Hill in Atlanta in stack 2. Here's a Ryan Sandberg card, 35 years old. Rhino was pretty much done. Looks like about 220 at bats, 5 homers. He hit 154 against lefties. Still respectable against righties, 272 with a 430 slugging, but on the way out, he's still a pretty good fielder, B3. In second, here's Jeff Branson for the Reds. Kevin Jarvis for the Reds, 7.13 ERA there. I can't wait to see more Colorado pitchers, actually. We're going to have some wild ERAs in Colorado. Danny Schaefer for the Rockies. Alex Arias for Florida. John Johnstone for the Marlins. Brian Hunter in Houston. Only 24 ABs. Here's Brett Butler. Pretty good card for Butler. 329 against righties, 281 against lefties. About 400 on base percentage either way. He slugged a lot better against righties. Definitely had more power. And a center fielder D, which is terrible, and 4E, which is pretty good. His arm's a 6, so that's actually gonna prevent some people from running on taking extra bases on hits to center. So that's pretty interesting. Kevin Gross, pretty good season, 9-7, 3.60 ERA for the Dodgers. Randy Milligan for Montreal, limited play, backup first baseman. Tim Bogar for the Mets. Jonathan Hurst, wonder if he's related to Bruce for the Mets. Lieberthal in his age 22 season for the Phillies, and Mike Williams for Philadelphia. Here's John Hope for Pittsburgh, 9 games, 5.79 ERA. Scott Livingston for San Diego, and Wally Whitehurst. There's Wally, 13 games started, 4-7, 4.92. Colorado should have an interesting ballpark card. Yeah, it should. Brad Brink for the San Francisco Giants. And Eric Pappas for St. Louis. And Bob Tewksbury for St. Louis. 24 games started, a 5.32 ERA. 155 innings. 19 homers, 190 hits, and 155. So his hits per innings are 11. He only walked 22, which is amazing in 155 innings. And his ERA is only 5.32. He had a winning record, 12-10, 5.32, allowing 11 hits per 9. Wow. Only 19 homers, so less than 1 per game. I guess that helps. But, man. Combined totals. Here's Greg Litton for Boston. Herb Perry for Cleveland. Skipping around again. Mike Brumley for Oakland. Bob Wells for Seattle. Jim Jakowski, I guess. Jakowski? You tell me. Zakowski? You like rotating your projects among different generations, keep things interesting? Yeah, I do too. I'm actually, so 73 and 94, right? That's what, 21 years apart? That's pretty good. And then I'm going to do 48 on the back end. Also Payoff Pitch. I'm waiting for that set to arrive. So that'll be my 3 that I'm going to kind of rotate through. But you'll see every single 1994 game will be streamed on the channel. Here's Jim Jakowski for Colorado. 4.15 ERA in 5 games started, in 5 games in relief. They should have kept that guy around, probably. Never heard of him. Wonder if he got hurt. David Telgetter for the Mets. Bryce Flory, San Diego. And here's the Yankee Stadium card. Yankee Stadium is basically a pitcher's park this year. 1-49, 1-51. Yankee Stadium, a pitcher's park. Of course, the Yanks didn't have any really big sluggers, so that could tilt that in that direction. A lot of gap hitters, some power, but Mark Smith for Baltimore, Scott Cooper for Boston, 13 homers. Pretty good season. He hit 194 against lefties, but 318 against righties. They should have sat him against lefties more, obviously. But I don't know what their option was. Playing third base in the absence of Boggs, right? Was Boggs a Yankee in 94? I think so. Joe Hesketh for Boston. 20 games started, 8-5, 4.26. That guy's a Cy Young contender. Dwight Smith in California. Craig Graybeck for the White Sox. Jose De Leon. Pretty good season in relief for De Leon for the White Sox. 42 games, 3.36 ERA. Here's a fun card. Here's a weird card, actually. Manny Ramirez, age 22 season. Manny Ramirez, age 22 season. Was he a rook in 94? I don't remember. Against lefties, 119 at-bats, 8 homers, 361, 447, 647 slashing. Against righties, oddly enough, you usually don't see righties struggle against righties quite this badly. 171, 9 homers, so the power was still there. 205 average, 292 on base, 433 slugging. So he was being fooled by right-handers when he came up, was Manny. He would straighten that out pretty quickly. Here's Milt Kyler. Limited play for Detroit. Mike Gardner for Detroit. Jose Lind, second baseman for Kansas City. Jeff Cirillo from Milwaukee. Not a big season for Jeff. Doug Henry from Milwaukee. Pedro Munoz. Pedro had a decent card for Minnesota, 11 homers. Hit right around 290 probably. Left, right, and DH for the Twins. And here he is, yep, Wade Boggs for the Yankees. Solid Boggs card, actually. Minnesota had the worst team ERA in 94 at 5.6. Even worse than Colorado at 5.15. Wow. Yeah, the Boggs card's pretty nice. Give you a little glance. That's Wade Boggs. Back him up so you can see the whole thing. What do we got? Third base B4, so good fielding. Gold Glove contender right there. 108 at-bats versus lefties. Only 1 homer, so no power against lefties, but a 315, 409, 380 slugging. And against righties, he had 10 homers, 43 walks, and 258 at-bats. A 353 batting average, 443 on base, 535 slugging. So, nice piece for the Yankees there. Sterling Hitchcock, spot starter for New York. Mark McGwire, 31. This is an injury season for McGwire. 9 homers in about 130 at-bats. He hit 194 against lefties with 4 homers and 62 at-bats, and 301 against righties. Pretty typical season for McGwire. He was hurt a lot. Before he started doing the clear, man. Bobby Witt for Oakland. Very proud of his son now. Here's Jim Converse for the Mariners. Odie McDowell for Texas. Kenny Rogers for Texas. This was Kenny's kind of year, man. 24 games started, 11-8, 4.46. Somehow Kenny Rogers found a way to post a winning record every friggin' year with the most mediocre stat lines ever. He just found a way to win. He was like the 90s version of Jack Morris. Very strange. I think Morris was a better pitcher, but Rogers just won every year. Brad Cornett for the Blue Jays. Here's Mark Lemke for Atlanta. Second baseman C5, so no errors really. He's very, very solid, but average range. That's probably fair. Mark Wohlers, pretty good reliever for the Braves. Ate up some innings. Frank Castillo for the Cubs. Roberto Kelly, one of my early favorite Yanks. Still a solid season. He hit about 300 for the Reds in backup role. Or maybe he was hurt, I don't know. John Smiley for Cincinnati, 11-10, 386. Mike Harkey. Here's a Colorado pitcher, 1-6, 13 games started, 5.79 ERA. It's not that bad, actually. Rogers pitched a perfect game in 94. Oh, nice. I kind of remember that. It's a weird guy. He drove me nuts as a Yankee. Orestes de Estrada. There's a name I forgot about for the Marlins. Pat Rapp for Florida. Doug Drabeck for the Houston Astros. 12-6, 284. That's a great card this year. That's worth viewing, I guess. 12-6, 284 ERA for Drabeck. Very, very nice card. A lot of tough in the middle of the card. Raul Mondesi, a 16-homer season in full-time play for the Dodgers. Ismael Valdez. Jeff Facero from Montreal, 8 and 6, 299. Another really, really good card for the Expos. Jim Lindemann. Lindemann, isn't that from, isn't that a character in the movie The Bodyguard with one of the Baldwins and Matt Damon from like 1982 or something? Mike Remlinger for the Mets. Toby Borland for Phillies. Jeff King had some good seasons for Pittsburgh. Rich Robertson, don't remember him, for the Pirates. Andy Ashby, 6 and 11 despite a 3.40 ERA. That's rough. Padres must have been terrible in 94. 24 games started, 6 and 11, 3.40. He had less hits than innings pitched, 145 hits and 164 innings. Less than 1 homer per game, which is pretty damn good in 94. Pretty average walks, 43 and 164. Actually, it's pretty good. And 121 Ks, and yet he posted a 6 and 11 record with a 3 point. That's just a bad luck season there for Ashby. Rickert Fenete? I don't know. I have no idea how to say that last name. Rickert Fenete? Fenete? Fenet? Maybe it's Fenet. I'm probably overdoing it. Never heard of him. Cup of coffee with the Giants. And William Van Landingham for the Giants. 14 games started. 3.54 ERA and an 8-2 record. Go figure. Todd Zeile, nice card. Nice season for Zeile. 19 homers, probably hit 280, would be my guess. And solid third base play. Roberto Kelly combined, Greg Karras combined. Here's Steve Farr for the Red Sox. Not a good season for Steve. Let's not talk about it. Scott Livingston for the Tigers. We're back into bit player territory. There's an Oakland A named Steve Phoenix. James Hurst, another Hurst brother. I have no idea. I don't know if they're related. Darrell Whitmore for the Marlins. Roger Mason for the Phillies. Scott Poolball for the Cardinals. And here's Riverfront Stadium. 1-45 against lefties, or for left-handed batters, and 1-67 for righties. So righties pretty good power there in Cincinnati and Riverfront Stadium. We're almost done with stack number. Oh no, we're not. We're almost done with the first half of stack 2. David Need for Colorado. Sheffield for Florida. 27 homers. Hit 212 versus lefties, 307 versus righties, and his power is pretty equal, but he slugged way more because of that batting average. 647 slugging versus righties, only 452 against lefties. So that's pretty fun. Be an interesting card. Sid Bream for Houston. He's pretty much done. Age 34, he only had 61 at bats. Here's Darryl Kyle. 24 games started, 9 and 6, 4.57 for the Astros. Tim Wallach. Tim Wallach with a really nice card. He's age 37 season. I wonder if he's on any lists, Mr. Wallach, for some banned substances. About 414 at bats, 23 homers. He hit 280, right around a 350 on base percentage, and looks like he slugged over 500. Quite a card for Wallach at age 37. I wonder if he and Bonds had the same pharmacist. I don't know. I don't know if Wallach's on any lists. I'm just talking. That's a hell of a card for a 37-year-old. That might be his best season. So, Sean Berry. What the hell? Everybody was probably on something, right? Sean Berry, a solid season for Montreal. Everybody had a solid season for Montreal, except Brian Looney. Brian Looney, 1 game, 2 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 homer. A 22.50 ERA for Brian Looney. It's a fun card. It'll be interesting when he gets his turn. Ryan Thompson, 18 homers. Forgot about Ryan Thompson for the Mets. Played center pretty much full time. Mariano Duncan, age 31 season. Played a lot of different positions for the Phillies and hit pretty well still. So, here's Jeff Juden. Phillies. Don Slaught, one-time Yankee, Pittsburgh Pirate in 94. Bill Bean. It's not the same guy, right? Is this the guy who just passed away? I don't know. I didn't know there were two Billy Beans. I made the same mistake Mad Dog did. I didn't know there were two Bill Beans. A cup of coffee with San Diego there. As a first baseman and outfielder, Gene Harris, 8.03 ERA for the Padres. Boy, they must have been really good. I didn't look at anybody's records. I only remember the teams that were kind of front runners. So yeah, it'll be fun. J.R. Phillips for the Giants, and Luis Eliseo with a solid season. He batted high 200s here in mostly full-time play as a second baseman for the Cardinals. John Habian for St. Louis, 52 games, 3.23 ERA. Here's a Deion Sanders combined card. Looks like Deion had a pretty good season, 38 steals, hit almost 300. Don Paul combined. We don't use the combined, folks, just FYI. Garrett Anderson for California. Or maybe I should when the season goes beyond the as played, but we probably won't. Rick Rona, not to be confused with Rico Bronya. Rick Rona for Milwaukee. Gotta find Milwaukee. Oh, they were still in the American League, that's right. That's what the A means, Joe. Mackie Sasser, 4 at-bats for the Mariners. Sorry, Mackie. Sean Bosky for the Cubs. Eddie Talbot for the Astros. Tony Womack for Pittsburgh. Here's Fenway Park. Now, Fenway's a pitcher's park, man. 1-54 versus left-handed batters. 1-39 right-handed batters. That makes sense. That makes sense. I guess the Green Monster was keeping him in against the righties that year. I guess it usually does. A lot of doubles. And here's Shea Stadium right after. Slight hitter's ballpark. 1-63 versus lefties, 1-60 righties on the wheelhouse. Where are the Mets? There they are. Meet the Mets. Greet the Mets. Brady Anderson for Baltimore. Not a 51 homer season, just 12 homers for Brady for the Orioles in 94. Scott Klingenbeck, also an Oriole. Carlos Rodriguez for the Sox. Frank Viola, 6 games started, 4.65, and then he took the rest of the year off. Chuck Finley, 25 games started for the Angels, 10-10, 4.32. Mike LaVallia for the White Sox. And Scott Sanderson, 14 games started, 8-4 with a 5.09. You get a 5 ERA, you got a chance at winning record here, folks. Steve Farr, reliever for Cleveland. Chris Gomez for the Tigers. Bill Kruger for the Tigers. Stan Belinda for Kansas City. It's going to be hard to pick who to come into these games with these friggin' ERAs. Holy mackerel. Jaime Navarro, 6.62 for Milwaukee. Evan Campbell, a 2.92 for Minnesota. Matt Noakes, New York backup catcher. Don Paul, reliever for the Yankees. John Briscoe for the A's. Bill Hasselman in Seattle. Randy Johnson, 23 games started, 13-6, 3.19. How many strikeouts? 204 strikeouts in 172 innings, just 132 hits. Pretty damn good card for Johnson. And the Mariners, who are just coming into a mini dynasty of their own. They never won anything, but man, they were competitive in the playoffs every year for a while. Brian Bohannon for the Rangers, and Darnell Coles, journeyman for Toronto. Aaron Small for Toronto. Here's Terry Pendleton. A few years removed, or before his MVP. Was he the MVP in 95 or 96? I don't remember. One of those years he won the MVP. This is definitely not an MVP card. Glenn Allen Hill, solid season for the Cubs. Dave Otto for the Cubs. Jerome Walton, bit player for the Reds. And here's Charlie Hayes, solid season at third. 10 homers, hit about 280, but he's in Colorado, so that's actually pretty terrible. Lance Painter in Colorado. Ron Tingley in Florida. Ken Caminiti in Houston, 18 homers, playing some solid third. Ross Powell for the Astros. Mitch Webster for Los Angeles, part-time. Will Cordero, nice card for Montreal. 15 homers, looks like he hit about 300. 91 Pendleton. Oh, it's a few years removed. Okay, thank you. Couldn't remember. And Montreal, oh, here's Pedro. Not as good as I remember. Pretty damn good, though. 144 innings pitched, 23 games started, 115 hits, 11 homers, 45 walks, 142 strikeouts, so right around strikeout per inning. 11 and 5, 3.42 for the Expos. Nice card for Pedro, very solid. Fernando Vina for the Mets. Dykstra for Philadelphia. Starting to be on the decline there. Bobby Munoz for the Phillies. 7 and 5, 267. That's pretty damn good. Here's Andy Van Slyke for Pittsburgh. Definitely on the decline in his age 34 season. Derek Bell. Decent season for the Padres. Trevor Hoffman, 20 saves and a 2.57 ERA for the Padres. He must not have had many opportunities. Jeff Reed for the Giants. And Bernard Gilkey. Mediocre season. And a lot of playing time. He only had 6 homers and 15 stolen bases. So pretty pedestrian season for Gilkey in St. Louis. Must be a pitcher's park in St. Louis this year for sure. Rob Murphy for the Cardinals. A couple of combined totals we'll ignore. Rod Correa for the Angels. We're into bit player time again. Here's a Twins card for Dennis Hocking. Dale Swaim for the Mariners. Don Paul for the Cubs. Billy Ashley for the Dodgers. Joel Johnston for Pittsburgh. And here's Anaheim Stadium of California. Angel Stadium of Anaheim. 1-69 versus left, 1-67 versus right. So a hitter's park in California. And Veterans Stadium. Here's a pitcher's park for you this year. 1-25 wheelhouse lefty, 132 righty. It's the best we've seen so far for pitchers. Good news for the Philadelphia pitching staff. Tim Hewlett is an Oriole. And Jim Poole is also an Oriole. Roger Clemens. A 9-7 record, which is not fair considering a 2.85 ERA. 170 innings pitched, 124 hits, 15 homers, 71 walks, and 168 strikeouts. So a very similar card to Pedro, right? Very similar. But only a 9-7 record. It shows you that the Red Sox were struggling a little in '94. Rex Hudler for the Angels, pardon me. Andrew Lorraine, don't remember him. Sounds like a cheese. Here's the Frank Thomas card, folks. Well, let's see. 399 at bats, 38 homers, over 109 walks in 399 at bats. So 500 plate appearances, 109 walks. Looks like he hit, 360 something? 350 something? His on base is 504 and 482. He slugged 798 versus lefties and 705 against righties. Disgusting card. Just disgusting. Where are the White Sox? There they are. Rene Gonzalez for the Indians. Nab Pulls for the Indians. Lou Whitaker for Detroit, 37 years old, still playing. Tom Goodwin in Kansas City. Only 2 at-bats that year. I was wondering. How old was he? 26. I guess he got hurt. Chris Haney for Kansas City. Here's Jose Valentin. 11 homers that year for the Brewers. Minnesota, Chip Hale. Brett Merriman for Minnesota. Bernie Williams for New York. 26 years old, center fielder. 12 homers. He hit 366 versus lefties, only 247 against righties. He slugged 600 versus lefties versus 373 against righties. 426 on base and 362. Nice card for Bernie. Do some damage. Just coming into his prime years there. Scott Brocious for Oakland. Brocious 14 homers in '94. Sounds like nothing. Edwin Nunez for Oakland. Greg Pirkle. Pirkl for Seattle. Here's Will Clark. 336 versus righties, 314 versus lefties. No power versus lefties. 1 homer, 118 at-bats. But 12 homers versus righties. 271. So, interesting card for the lefty Clark. Interesting platoon. He really must have choked up against lefties for the Rangers. Tom Henke for Texas. And John Olerud. Solid season. 12 homers. Looks like he hit around 290 would be my guess. He killed right-handed pitching. Jeff Blauser for the Braves. That's stack number 2. Let's keep them going, and I'll get a little sip of water here. Man, stuff's like what they make airplanes out of, huh? I should have just pulled them all out, but I don't like having them waiting to fall over on the table. So, here's stack 3. Lonnie Smith for Baltimore. How many steals did Lonnie have? Very limited play, only 1 steal. Lonnie was 39 and still playing in 94. Wes Chamberlain for the Red Sox. Craig Harris for the Red Sox. Tim Salmon for California. 23 homers. Looks like he hit about 280. Pretty solid card. Slugged around a little over 500. Nice card for Salmon. He's a B2 in right field, if you're wondering, with a 7 arm. It's not great, actually, but that means they're going to run on him more, which means he's going to get more assists. Here's Julio Franco, first baseman, D1. 20 homers for Julio, and he hit over 300 against everybody. Slugged 677 against lefties in Chicago. Dennis Cook in Chicago. Tony Pena in Cleveland. He's a C4-3. C-range, 4-error, 3-arm. Thought his arm would be better, but he's 37, so there we go. Danny Bautista for Detroit. Wait, no, not a great card. Doherty for Detroit. Kevin Kozlowski for Kansas City. Hippolito Pichardo for Kansas City. One of the more fun names to play. To say, I should say. Mike Fetters, Milwaukee. Pat Mears, Minnesota. Carl Willis, Minnesota. Xavier Hernandez. I forgot about him. For the Yankees that year. 4-4, 5.85 in 31 games of relief. Stan Javier for Oakland. Bob Welch, definitely on his way out, 38 years old. 8 games started, 25 games total, 3-6, 7.08 for Oakland. A long cry from those glory years. Chris Bosio for Seattle. Manuel Lee for Texas. Roger Pavlik for Texas. Tony Castillo Toronto. Ryan Klesko for Atlanta. 17 homers, all against righties. He only had 22 at-bats versus lefties. Talk about a platoon. Mike Stanton, good left-handed reliever for the Braves that year. Jim Bullinger. Sounds like the guy from a sitcom back in the 80s. Thomas Howard, Cincinnati. Neil Gomez, we're back to Baltimore for some reason. Mike Mussina, 24 games started, 16-5, 3.06. 163 hits and 176 innings, 42 walks, 99 Ks, 19 homers. A homer a game for Mussina, pretty much. Or a homer every 9. Yeah, one per 9. For Baltimore's Mike Mussina. Dave Valley for Boston. Damian Easley for California. Phil Leftwich for California. Danny Pasqua. Only 23 at-bats in his age 33 season before he decided to hang it up, I believe. Carlos Baerga, 19 homers. 345 against righties. And pretty good power against lefties. 8 homers and 161 at-bats. A 472 slugging percentage for Baerga. And the Tribe. Dennis Martinez. Always fun. Age 39 season for Dennis Martinez, guys. Age 39 season for the Tribe. 24 games started at 11-6, 3.52. Less hits than innings pitched. 14 homers. Not too bad in 24 starts. 44 walks, 92 Ks. A nice season for an age 39-year-old Dennis Martinez. Juan Samuel, cup of coffee for the Tigers that year. It's not the right term, but you know what I mean. Limited playing time. Vince Coleman, 50 steals in 94. Full-time left fielder for Kansas City. I don't remember that. That's pretty cool. He still couldn't hit. Somehow he got on base enough to steal 50. Sure I put him in the right stack. Tom Gordon, 24 games, 11-7, 4.35 for the Royals. Kevin Seitzer, mediocre season for the Brewers. That's a slippery card for some reason. He wants to play on a different team. He's like, not Milwaukee again. Rich Becker, Minnesota backup. Eddie Guardado in Minnesota. Mike Stanley, the Yankees catcher. 17 homers in full-time play for Stanley. Hit about 300. On base about 400, slugged about 550. Great season for Stanley pre-Posada for the Yanks. Michael Andretti in Oakland. Miguel Jimenez in Oakland. Tino Martinez, 27 years old, 20 homers. Good season for Tino. Might have been his breakout year. Roger Solkold for the Mariners. Steve Dreyer with an E, D-R-E-Y-E-R. He's on Texas. And here's Mike Huff on Toronto. Mike Timlin on Toronto. 34 games in relief, 5.18. Bedrosian for Atlanta. 46 games in relief, 3.33. That Braves rotation and bullpen coming together in 94 a little bit. Cole Rhodes. Tuffy Rhodes for Chicago. Did he hit 4 homers on opening day? Is this the guy? Tuffy Rhodes? Was that 94? Might be the year he hit 4 homers. He got 7 homers versus righties, 1 homer versus lefties. I don't know if 94 was the year, but I feel like it was. Turk Wendell. Wow. Turk. 11.93 ERA in 6 games. Rich DeLucia for Cincinnati. Mike Kingery for Colorado. Full-time play for Kingery. Played a lot of different positions in the outfield. And Bruce Ruffin for Colorado. Chris Hammond for Florida. Mike Felder for Houston. Brian Williams for Houston. Omar Dahl for the Dodgers. Forgot about that guy. Jeff Gardner. Hardly any at-bats for the Expos. Jeff Shaw. Good reliever. Solid. 46 games, 3.88. Here's a Gooden card for the Mets. 7 games started for Dwight in 94. He got decisions in all of them. A 3-4 record, 6.31 ERA. He was plagued by the homer ball and some walks. Actually, the walks are pretty average. Still struck out 40 in 41 innings, but was prone to give up some hits and homers. Pete Incaviglia, Philadelphia, 13 homers. Heath Slocum, Steve Cook for Pittsburgh. Tony Gwynn. Here's the Tony Gwynn card, folks. Before I even talk about it, let's let you look at it. Tony Gwynn. Tony hit 374 versus lefties, 404 versus righties, and 280 bats versus righties. 12 homers, an on base in the 450s and a slugging in the 550s. Hell of a card for Tony. That's one of the storylines of this season. Here's A.J. Sager. Matt Williams, another storyline right here. Back-to-back great cards, pretty much. 46 homers for Williams in limited play. Strike shortened season. 46 homers, 788 slugging against lefties. He hit 16 homers against lefties in 104 at-bats. His wheelhouse versus lefties is 1-96 home run, 97 single. 1-96 home run. Crazy, man. Terry McGriff for St. Louis. Here's Rich Rodriguez for St. Louis. Some combined cards. I'm looking forward to this season, I am. The White Sox, Ron Tingley. Bob Melvin for the Yankees. George Glenatsis for the who is that? The Mariners. We've been going over an hour here, and we're not even halfway through. I probably should speed it up, huh? Scott Service for Cincy. Jeff McKnight for New York. Ray McDavid, San Diego. Kauffman Stadium. Now there's a pitcher's park. 1-22 wheelhouse lefties, 1-27 righties. That's pretty good. If you wanted a 1994 payoff pitch preview, see if you wanted this season or not, I guess this is pretty good. One of the things that I struggle with, another ballpark, Busch Stadium, 1-62, 1-53 for the Cardinals. I just struggle with keeping my focus, you know. Chris Sabo for Baltimore. Boston. So I actually have to really think through how I want to approach things. Move these along a little bit. Because I do want to play an opening day game today with this set. And I still would like to play a couple of games on my 73 set off camera, so. My voice has put my wife to sleep. I'm just going to look for good cards here. Shane Mack. Pretty good card for Minnesota, 15 homers. Hit 418 versus lefties and 304 versus righties. That's a good season for Mac. Don't remember that guy. Billy Taylor for Oakland. Dan Wilson, the catcher for Seattle. Only 3 homers. He had not come into any kind of power yet. David Holtz for Texas. Hey, Ron, how you doing? Nice to see you. Tim Leary for Texas. 3 games started, 1-1, 8.14. Just going through 94 here. So you're ready to play the 94 season entirely on camera. about halfway through the sorting. Colorado card, Florida. Jeff Mutis for Florida. Mike Sims for Houston. Looking for monster cards. We've already seen some pretty good ones. Dodgers. Rondo White. Nah, nothing going on there. John Cangelosi. Nothing going on there for the Mets. Mike Maddox. Kevin Stocker. Okay. Pedestrian card for the Phillies. Last minor for Pittsburgh. Craig Shipley, San Diego. Barry Bonds. What kind of season did Bonds have in '94? Pretty damn good. Not the legendary seasons we'd see in a few years, but 37 homers for Bonds. He hit a little over 300, it looks like. Over 400 on base, over 600 slugging versus everybody this year. I don't know if this is during steroids, pre-steroids, what, but that's a hell of a card. It's going to be a fun card to play with for the Giants. Bonds and Williams in '94 is just terrifying. Ozzie Smith, hanging on, age 40 season for Smith. Age 40 for Ozzie. He played full time. He's a C5. Still the best error rating. So that's pretty cool. It's a Boston card. We're into like some part-timers here. Oakland has a lot of players already. We're only halfway through the sort. Florida. Philadelphia. San Francisco. Here's the Sky Dome, 1/57, 1/43. And it looks like a lot of errors happen in the Sky Dome. They started at 1/20. Actually, that's few errors. Looks like few errors happen in the Sky Dome. Looks like they get to a lot of balls. I'm reading that backwards. You guys are having a nice Sunday. What time is it? Almost 2 o'clock. I'd like to play a game of this before dinner. I don't know what the opening day games are yet. I haven't looked at the score sheets or anything. I just decided I was going to do this today. Chicago, Kirk McCaskill. There's a name I haven't seen in a while. Cleveland, John Flaherty on Detroit in '94. Gene Harris. Keith Miller in Kansas City. Here's John Jaha. 12 homers for the Brewers. Graham Lloyd, not yet a Yankee. Walbeck. Pat Kelly. I like Pat Kelly as a Yankee. Jimmy Keycard, 25 games started, 17-4, 3.27. Nice card for Key in '94. Big reason for the Yankees' success. Ruben Sierra with 23 homers for the A's in '94. Jay Buhner with 21 homers for Seattle. Rich Gossage, still pitching in '94 at age 43 on the Mariners. Here's Billy Ripken, playing for Texas. Henkin for Toronto, 13-8, 3.40. Pretty good. Mark Grace. Only 6 homers this year. He hit about 296, I want to say. On base up there in the 360s or 370s and slugged about 400. So solid season for Grace for the Cubs. Blake Island. What kind of a season did Sosa have this year? I don't know. We can find out. Deion Sanders, here we go. Cincinnati card, 19 steals. Pretty solid card for Deion. Way better against righties for the left-handed Sanders. Vinny Castilla, an off year. Marcus Moore, Renteria. St. Louis and Cincinnati was the first game, a Sunday night. Oh, that's cool. It's not exactly a marquee matchup, but that's where we'll begin. That was when they played one game on Sunday and everybody else on Monday. I don't know if I like that or not. I guess I kind of like it. I do like having everybody in action the same day, but I did like having that one game to start the season off. You know, everybody's watching the same game. It was just the first baseball game. That was kind of fun. Danny Jackson, solid season for the Phillies, 14-6, 3.26. Here's Lance Parrish, age 38, hanging out with the Pirates. Willie McGee, age 36, hanging out with the Giants. And Bill Swift, 8-7 in 17 starts, 3.38. That's a great ERA. And we're into some stragglers here. Boston, Milwaukee, Seattle, Toronto, Randy St. Clair. Mike Jeffcoat. Huh. Don't see that very often. This guy's got doubles and singles with 2 asterisks on his card. He gives up gappers, huh? That's kind of a cool card. I like that. Frascator. Here's Dodger Stadium. Bit of a pitcher's park. 1/43, 1/45 in Los Angeles this year. Just realized we had a Corey Snyder card too on Los Angeles in '94. All right, 3 stacks down, 3 to go. A little sip of water here. Figured I owe this channel some content. It's been a dry summer for content, very honestly. Cincinnati, Colorado. Okay, we're picking up in a weird spot. Here's Conine. Good solid card for Conine. 18 homers, 300 batting average for Florida in '94. Yorkis Perez, forgot about him. 14 homers for Karros, Eric Karros in '94. Here's a 54 ERA for Joey Eishen in Montreal. 54. 1 game, 2/3 of an inning, 4 hits. A 54 ERA. Jeff Kent on the Mets. Forgot about that. I remember Kent so well as a Giant. 14 homers and probably about a 300 batting average for the Mets in '94. Roger Mason. Philadelphia. Brian Hunter for Pittsburgh. Some pretty terrible card, actually. Pena, Eddie Williams. Royce Clayton for the Giants. Mike Jackson. Here's Gerald Young. 41 at-bats for St. Louis. Detroit. We're jumping around with the stragglers again. Oakland. It always seems to be the same stragglers. It's the teams with a lot of extra players because they probably sucked. Here's Wrigley. Pretty good for lefties, 1/59 wheelhouse. 1/50 against righties for Wrigley. Harold Baines, 15 homers and 275 at-bats against right-handers, hit .316. He hit only 176 against lefties in his age 35 season for the Orioles. Ben McDonald. Chad Curtis. Joe Gray. Or Grahe. I think it's Gray, though. I'm probably wrong. I'm usually wrong when I think I know how to pronounce a weird name. Ricardo Ingram. Don't know that guy. Mike Moore. Still hanging on at age 35 at '94. Billy Brewer. Milwaukee. Jesse Orosco on the Brewers in '94, age 37 season. Paul O'Neill. 21 homers, a nice 350 batting average, probably. Great card for O'Neill in '94. Might be the best Yankee card this year. Melito Perez for the Yankees, 9-4 record. Here's Ron Darling. Reggie Jefferson. Another guy who can only hit righties, apparently. Here's Kevin Brown, 7-9, 4.82 for Texas in '94. Carlos Delgado, age 22 season. Was he a rookie this year? Probably. Looks like he had a cup of coffee. Here's Dion's Atlanta card. I thought we had a Dion card already. Did he split time? I know we had the totals card. Let me see. Hey, there's his totals card. Oh, he had 38 stolen bases. He just happened to have 19. He stole 19 bases for both teams that he played for that year. That's pretty funny. So there's his Atlanta card. That's why I thought I had the card already. It was the same number of steals, which was the only stat I looked at on him. When he played for Cincinnati and Atlanta? Am I right about that? I don't know. I just don't know. This is the most looking at cards I've ever done while I sort, honestly. Usually I don't even see the player names most of the time. I glance at the team name. There's Greg Jeffries for St. Louis. Dave Righetti, age 36, combined totals. California, here I come. Another Minnesota card. Another Seattle card. It's the usual suspects, man. This Seattle stack is getting big. Here's Comiskey. 1 to 34 lefties, 1 to 48 righties for Wheelhouse and Comiskey. Three River Stadium, 1 to 54, 1 to 35. So exactly the opposite of Comiskey, pretty much. For the Pirates. Bo Jackson. I didn't know Bo was still playing in 94. 32 years old. 13 homers in about 200 at-bats. Not a bad season. He slugged 500 for the Angels. Joe McGrain. Here's Robin Ventura, 18 homers for the still White Sox. Nagy. 7 and 15, 5.89 for Belcher in Detroit that year, Tim Belcher. Here's Bob Hamlin. Is this the standout weird season for Bob Hamlin? 24 homers against righties and 261 at-bats. No homers against lefties and 51 at-bats for Bob Hamlin. What I remember about Bob is those glasses, man. Kansas City, here he comes. Kent Herbeck still hit 10 homers for the Twins. There's Gerald Williams. Forgot about him for the Yanks. Ontiveros for Oakland. Alex Rodriguez for Seattle, age 19. You do not see age 19 cards very often, folks. Age 19, 54 at bats. He's terrible. He's just terrible. But who knew? Because he got hold of that good stuff. He's the least respected Yankee ever. Probably. Who actually put up numbers anyway. Here's Maddox's card. Sick card. One patient result on there. I'm surprised it's even that high up. I thought it would be at the other ends. 31 walks and 202 innings pitched. 150 hits. 156 strikeouts. Only 4 homers. How does he even have a wheelhouse? With 4 homers, how does he have a wheelhouse? That's crazy to me. That's going to be a hard stat to simulate for Maddox, those 4 homers, I think. Just having a 12 wheelhouse. That's 4 homers in 202 innings. That's a tough one. 10 complete games for Maddox in 94. Probably led the league. Here's Sammy Sosa, 25 homers. Sign of things to come in a 26 season for the Cubs. Pretty respectable card. Not amazing. Hershiser, 6 and 6, 379 for the Dodgers. Bottom of stack 4 of 6 here. Here's Bobby Bonilla, 20 homers for the Mets. Still getting paid. One more year, I think. 1 or 2. I think it's 2025 or maybe 2026. Jay Bell, beloved Pittsburgh Pirate, for you Pirates fans out there. Geronimo Pena. Oops, wrong stack. Be careful. Start jumping around. I got to pay attention. Here's Butch Davis for Texas. 17 ABs. Colorado card. Philadelphia. San Diego. Oops. Missed that one too. Here's the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. 1 to 48 versus lefties. 1 to 29 versus righties. That's pretty good. Pretty good pitcher's park for Oakland. All right, we're back to Baltimore, so we should be at the top. Here's Andre Dawson, 16 homers in his age 40 season in Boston in 94. I wouldn't have remembered that. Chris Howard, here's JT Snow. Pretty terrible card, actually. Ozzie Guillen for the White Sox. Eric Davis playing on the Tigers. 3 homers in limited play. Mike McFarland for the Royals. Daddy Higuera, age 36 season, 1-5, 7.06 ERA for Higuera. Minnesota, Steve Howe, 1.8 ERA in 40 games of relief for the Yankees that year. Javi Lopez, 13 homers, 24 years old for the Braves. He was backing somebody up. I don't remember who. Here's Barry Larkin. Still pretty respectable year for Larkin. He didn't hit 300. He had 9 homers. Yeah, it's just an okay card for Larkin in '94. Not his best showing. Age 30. Rick Shine. Houston, Jose Offerman, Gary Wayne, Heath Haynes. I don't remember that guy. Kevin McReynolds, terrible for the Mets. Brett Saberhagen, pretty damn good for the Mets. 14-4, 274 in 24 games started. It's a nice card. Probably by far the best New York pitcher that year. Mets pitcher, that is. He's probably better than anybody Yankees had too, actually. I mean, Key's card's pretty damn good, actually. Jimmy Key's card's very good. Is that from my card that I accidentally did? Okay. Just double checking sometimes, folks. Don't want to have to go through these all again. What are you guys playing today? Anything good? I was going to listen to the Yankee game, but I ended up doing this instead. Oh, Judge probably hit his 50th while I'm doing this, but that's all right. I don't have them on TV, so I just listen to the MLB broadcast on my phone when I feel like listening. But I really feel like getting this project started today. So Mile High, wow. Here's Colorado, not as extreme as you would think. Left-handed batters 1-40 wheelhouse, right-handed batters 1-69. So it's good, damn good park for righties. I thought it would be a little more extreme. All right, we're through 4. We got 2 to go. Definitely picked up the pace there. I realized we were already over an hour and only midway through stack 3. I'd like to get this done in 2, and then maybe get a game in before dinner. Chris Hoyles for Baltimore, 19 homers. California. This is what I usually do. Alvaro Espinoza for the Indians. Jack Morris, 39 years old for Cleveland. Wouldn't have guessed. Another one of those weird ones, man. Like I was saying about Kenny Rogers before, Morris just always found a way to post a winning record. 23 games started, a 5.60 ERA. He gave up 163 hits in 141 innings. Walked 67. So he's giving up like a whip of like 15 base runners per 9 innings. And somehow he came out with a 10-6 record and a 5.60 ERA. 10-6. For albeit a very good slugging Cleveland team, I think. But Alan Trammell in his age 36 season. Gagne, Gubaza, Serhoff, Dunn from Minnesota. Pat Mahomes. The most famous thing about this guy is his son. Yep. But he put up a respectable record in 21 games started. 9-5, 4.73 for the Twins in '94. Randy Velarde for the Yankees. Mike Bordick for Oakland. He was a good gamer kind of player. Jose Canseco in Texas, 31 homers. Pretty good season for Jose. He has no position. He's just a designated hitter. But he played every damn day, and he hit 31 homers for Texas in '94. Paul Molitor still managed 14 homers at age 38, and he hit 391 against lefties. That's a nice card. 391 against lefties for Molitor at age 38. Here's Glavine, 13-9, 397. More hits than innings for Glavine this year. Okay, babe? Move on. 26 homers, 310 against lefties and righties. A little bit better slugging against lefties. He had 11 homers and 126 at bats against lefties and 15 homers and 268. So this is a reverse platoon guy, Mo Vaughn. He owned the inside of the plate, I assume, killing lefties from the left-hand side. Edmonds. Yeah, not a great season for Edmonds. He's age 24. Well, he's young. Might be his rookie season. I'm not sure. Mark Leiter, whose son is terrible. Is his son or his nephew? I guess no, that's his son. It's Al Leiter's nephew, right? Albert Bell. Wait, sorry, I missed the Albert Bell card. 36 homers. He hit 367 versus lefties, 353 against righties, a 480 on base percentage versus lefties, 729 slugging versus righties. Scary card for Cleveland. Jose Mesa, with only 2 saves, 51 games. He was not yet the closer, I guess. Cleveland and Chicago are trying to become one team. Mickey Tettleton had a pretty good season, 17 homers for Detroit. Gaetti for Kansas City, Granger for Kansas City, Spires for Milwaukee, Cole for Minnesota. Another Minnesota card. Danny Tartabull, 19 homers for New York. Steve Carsey. These names bring back memories, huh? If I did do a 4th season in the rotation at some point, it would be a modern season, I think. I would love to play one of these Judge seasons, but I also wouldn't mind playing a season I've forgotten about from the early to mid 2000s. I'd have to look them over. I don't have one in mind. Just saying, if I was going to add a 4th rotation just to get 4 different eras going with 48, 73, 94, and then we'd have to be in the 2000s. Anything prior to the 40s, and for that matter, like anything prior to World War II, I just don't know enough of the players to keep interested, very honestly. I mean, just like if I was going to do a 5th one, it would actually probably be, I think I have what's the 1800 seasons they released for Payoff Pitch? I think it's 1889. I have that one, and I like the cards. It's a lot of fun to look at. I also have a book about that season. It's supposed to be a great pennant race that year, so that might be the one if we're going to add one. But I don't think we're going to do 4 projects. Just don't. So I'm super bored and super OCD. OCD? ADHD is what I mean. My wife's trying to be super quiet for me right now. She was sleeping. She doesn't have to be that quiet. It's okay, babe.
Yeah, I don't want to mess up your thing there.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. I'm not calling a game or anything. Milwaukee County Stadium, pretty good for pitchers. 1-37, 1-40. It's pretty good. Another blank card, which means we're going back to the top. Baltimore Bernansky, 10 homers. MLB broadcaster Harold Reynolds playing for the California Angels this year in his age 34 season. Here's Eddie Murray hanging on at age 38, managed to hit 17 homers for the Indians. Storm Davis, he's actually younger than I thought he'd be in 94. He's 33. He must have been real young in 86. That's where I know Storm Davis from, 86 in Baltimore. He was their 4th or 5th starter that year. He's on Detroit this year. Wally Joyner on Kansas City. Here's Ricky Henderson. 22 steals for Ricky in his age 36 season. It's other than the on-base percentage, it'd be a mediocre card, but he's over 400 on-base percentage against both lefties and righties. So that makes it a pretty good card for Ricky, even at age 36. Back where he started with the A's. You'd probably still rather have Ricky leading off than just about anybody else, even at this point in his career. There's maybe 2 or 3 leadoff guys you'd think about taking before him. Here's Smoltz, age 27 season, 6-10, 4.14. Not a great season for Johnny. I was having a little physical discomfort today, so I was glad to have something to focus on. And sure enough, the physical discomfort has gone away. Middle age is fun, man. I'll tell you, it beats the alternative. But 16 homers for Todd Hundley in New York. But it's nice to have something to focus on that you really, really enjoy, especially on a quiet weekend afternoon. Not much going on. We got up. We went for a hike this morning. Did about 2.5 miles, which was good. And I walked the dogs before that. So yeah, I got about 3 miles in this morning. I've been nursing a foot injury back. Injury? I don't know. Maybe. It does seem like it turned out to be an injury because I was thinking something was wrong. I'm very arthritic. I have psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis, which is why you can see my hands are a little jacked up. This one's better. This one's not. But I'm not shy about it. I've had it since I'm like 13. And the arthritis since I'm in my early 20s. And Bob Zupsik. It's a weird name. So I'm trying to keep active, trying to do the right thing, take care of myself better in my 50s than I did in my 30s and 40s for sure. But we were going to the gym pretty much 5 to 6 days a week, and I had to lay off last week to rest my foot. And it's turned out to be the right thing because my heel was bothering me for a solid 2 months. I thought I had a heel spur. Now I'm thinking it's just arthritis and bursitis, and I just needed some rest because it's feeling a lot better. But here's Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. 1-61 versus lefties, 1-35 versus righties. So you'd like to be a left-handed hitter in Atlanta this year. So I'm glad I'm feeling better. So I can get up and go to the gym tomorrow. I'm just going to focus on cardio this week to kind of rehab the foot. Just get on the treadmill, a little bit of an incline, nice steady pace, burn some fat, get my heart rate up, and then get back to the weights next week if all goes well. You gotta manage your body better as you get older. You just can't bounce back from stuff. And you can't just gut through stuff because what used to heal on its own when you were 25 or even 31 just becomes a nagging injury when you're 51. So, but I love playing these games. I love having time to do the things I love doing. Jimmy Leyrit's 94. Guy turned out to be quite an asshole, didn't he? But he was a fun player to watch when you were a Yankee fan in the 90s. So it's so important to, I want to play a lot more games. I want to spend a lot more time with my family and my friends. I want to do a lot more traveling in my life. Joe Carter, 27 homers, age 34 season. Nice season for Toronto. Heading into some good Toronto teams. And it's so important to just get that exercise in every day, to eat better, to hydrate. Here's Galarraga. Is this a good card? This is a real good card. I almost missed it. Andres Galarraga in Colorado, 33 homers, full-time play. He only walked 19 times. And he still got a 406 on base percentage because he hit 386 against lefties and an 886 slugging percentage against lefties. 12 homers and 88 at-bats for Galarraga in 94. That's insane. That's just insane. I don't even, that's wild. Some of these cards are going to be nuts to play with. Yeah, I want to just stay healthy, man. I want to get even healthier. But you gotta be careful not to push too hard. Careful to monitor how your body's feeling, and get back to it when you can. You just miss a day. You don't do things perfectly. You eat something you shouldn't. You just get back on track the next day. And as we get older, it's just so important to keep that up. I don't mean to be preaching. It's just it's something I'm really passionate about. I've had some health issues the last couple of years. Triple bypass last March, and I feel better now than I did all through my 40s. And I had no idea how sick I was in my 40s. I thought I was just tired from work. I thought it was just stress, all that kind of stuff.
Less May, babe, not more.
Last May, sorry. And my memory's going, apparently. That's the other thing I gotta work on. No. It's just I'm doing two things at once here. Started with an M. So I'm a little preachy about it. I am because so many people who play these games, like me, don't get enough movement. We just don't. You know, if we have sedentary jobs and then we come home and we sit in front of these games, whether it's a computer game or a board game, like they're time consuming, and before you know it, you miss the whole day. So it's so important. Like I get up early. We go to the gym at 4 a.m. Done. Like it's over. Nothing else can happen the rest of the day to derail it. So if I'm healthy enough to go to the gym, I go to the gym. You know, like I said, I rested it the last week, but for the 9 weeks prior to that, I mean, my worst week was 4 days. So that's awesome. You know, just staying active, doing hikes on Sundays, walking the dogs, all that kind of stuff. Oriole Park at Camden Yards. That's a hitter's park, man. Both in the 70s for Wheelhouse. That's crazy. And Olympic Stadium at Montreal. Pretty average for lefties. Pretty good pitcher's park against righties. So there we go. Got one stack left. And as is tradition, once I get through a stack, let's have a sip of water. Actually, let's have a good chug of water because I thought I'd get through this bottle. Been on this stream for an hour 40, so it's going to be a 2-hour stream, and I have not even cracked this bottle, really. You guys are looking at my belly in these cards the whole time, but I ain't that pretty, so you're not missing anything. Cincinnati, Eric Hansen. Colorado, Eric Mejia. Kurt Abbott for Florida. Solid card for Abbott. Here's Charlie Huff. Charlie friggin' Huff, man. It's 1994. How is there a Charlie Huff card? He's 46. He's 46 years old. And he started 21 games for the Marlins. He went 5-9 with a 5.15 ERA. He might be their friggin' best starting pitcher. I don't know if Kevin Brown's on there. I didn't see him. Might have missed him, but 46 years old. Why aren't there more knuckleballers? Why has everybody got to throw 103? This guy pitched till he was 46. He might have pitched till he was 47. I doubt it, but that's crazy. Jamie Moyer and Charlie Huff, man. Just learn how to throw a good knuckleball. And then spot your fastball. Preferably down and off the plate, just to keep them guessing. Here's Kruk, 335 versus righties. That's pretty good for the Phillies. You know, it'd be kind of fun, and I'm not going to do it because, you know, I like realism, but it'd be kind of fun to just min-max these splits, man. Just have guys have crazy seasons in platoons. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to deconstruct the game that way. What's that say? There's any pitchers hitting cards in this set. I don't know. I haven't noticed any yet, but I wasn't looking for them either. I'm 51. I'm 51 and I'm like trying to get back in shape. Charlie Huff was 46, pitching in the friggin' majors full time. Holy shit. Oh, that's a fun one. Here's Bobby Thigpen, 31 years old. Look at his 2 result. Double 3 asterisks. Every time you roll a 2 on Bobby Thigpen's card, there's only a 1 in 36 chance, I'll grant you. But every time you roll a 2, he hits a bases clearing double. Or the batter hits a bases clearing double. That's crazy. Jayhawk Owens. Holy shit, I don't remember that name. That guy had 12 at-bats for the Rockies in 94. Jayhawk Owens. Herbert H. Humphrey Metrodome. Good thing we got rid of that, huh? 1-40 lefties, 1-62 righties. That was an ugly stadium. I'm sure somebody probably loves that place, but man, watching that on TV when the Yankees would go there, what an ugly place to play. It's almost as bad as the Tampa Stadium. Tampa's the worst. Is that Baltimore? It was. Lee Tinsley. Chili Davis. 34 years old, 26 homers, hit 300 against both lefties and righties. Great card for Chile in California. California's got some solid players. I don't know what their record was this year. I have no idea. Here's Mark Langston. 7-8, 4.68. Another age 34 card for California. Here's now manager Bob Melvin, playing catcher for the White Sox. Sandy Alomar with 14 homers for Cleveland. All against righties, none against lefties in 74 at-bats. We should have platooned him more, but he's such a good defensive catcher. Apparently not this year. His range is an F, but he's an E4. His range is an F. He's a terrible fielder. It's a weird range, man. David Wells, 5-7, 3.96 for the Tigers. David Cohn for Kansas City, 16-5 for the Royals this year. 2.94 David Cohn before he became a Yankee in a few years. That's a great card. That's one of the best pitching cards of the set. Luis Polonia, 334, as a left-handed platoon for the Yankees in the outfield that year. Here's Jeff Reardon. Jeff Reardon was on New York. He only pitched 11 games, 8.38 ERA. That explains Jeff Reardon in New York in 94. Here's 40-year-old Dennis Eckersley, managing 19 saves for the A's in 45 games. A 5-4, 4.26 ERA. 40 years old.
Sorry.
Babe thinks it's pretty funny. Eckersley's still pitching at 40. She can't help herself. Stuff's funny, Babe's laughing. As she should. I got to shut her down when I play games, though. Otherwise it gets super distracting. Howard Johnson was still playing, 34 years old in Colorado. He had 10 homers. Oops, that's not the Colorado card, excuse me. Almost done with the first half of the stack for the final stack. See if we got any more really interesting cards. Here's Cliff Floyd's rookie card, probably 22 years old. Only 4 homers. Cliff didn't have his power yet. He was not stroking. He did hit about 300, though. Looks like about 290, actually. I like the split stats, but I don't like not knowing the total stats. I wish there was one more line. It's not a deal breaker, though, obviously. I love this game. Here's Pedro. Oh, there were 2 Pedro Martinez's this year. Look at that. There's a reliever Pedro Martinez. A reliever Pedro, 26 years old, 48 games, 1 start, 3-2, 2.90 for the Padres. Didn't realize there were 2 Pedro Martinez's in the league at the same time. Darryl Strawberry on the Giants, 4 homers. Some combined. Here's California. We're into the Russ Davis for the Yanks. Sean Bosky for the Mariners. There's some weird in-between cards here. Joel Oliver for the Reds. Eddie Pye for the Dodgers. Oops, I got 2 Montreals going on. What's going on? All right, there we go. Cliff Floyd was on the wrong stack. Jacobs Field, 1-53 lefties, 1-68 righties. That explains Albert Bell right there. And Jack Murphy Stadium, 1-40 lefties, 1-59 righties. A lot of these parks favoring righties, huh? Or is that just my recency bias? All right, here's Rafael Palmeiro, Gold Glove winner as a designated hitter. 23 homers this year. Hit well over 300 for the Baltimore Orioles. One of the more reviled guys from the steroid era, apparently. He's just a dick. No, I don't know. I've never met the guy. I have no idea. People don't seem to like Raffy, though. Nobody liked Albert Bell. Not even the guys who played with him, apparently. You ever see interviews with him now? He just seems angry. Seems pissed off about everything. Here's Knobloch. Here's Knobloch before it all went south. 26 years old, 300 batting average. Pretty good card. Here's the left-handed pitcher and one-handed pitcher, Jimmy Abbott. No hitter. No hitter, Jim Abbott. 24 games started, 9-8, 4.55 for the Yanks in 94. Eric Fox, I forgot about him. Todd Van Poppel. Sparkling 7-10 record for 6.09 ERA for the A's. Oh, here's a decent card. Juan Gonzalez, 25 years old, 19 homers. Looks like he hit about 275. Solid card for Gonzalez. Not a monster year yet. Just kind of clicking through the last bit of them here. Tim Pugh. Walt Weiss, Colorado shortstop. Jerry Brown. I forgot about him in Florida. James Mouton. Chris Gwynn, Los Angeles. Ramon Martinez, 12-7, 397 for the Dodgers. Larry Walker, Montreal. 19 homers, hit about 320, looks like. Slugged well over 500. Nice card for Walker. Now Hall of Fame Larry Walker, right? Rico Brogna for the Mets. Man, the Mets sucked in 94. Holy shit. Well, Bobby Jones, 12-7, 315. Maybe they're better than I think they are, but just the cards I've noticed, it looks like they're terrible. Mickey Morandini. It's a fun name. Dave Clark of the Dave Clark 5, still playing for Pittsburgh. Different guy, Joe. I know. I think it's a different guy. That'd be weird if they were the same guy. Maybe it's dad. Mike Benjamin. John Burkett, 6'8", 362. Joe Perry in St. Louis. St. Louis looks terrible too, by the way. In Boston. We'll hit the usual stacks here with the extras. Cleveland, Oakland. My God, Oakland has so many cards. Texas, so many cards. Florida, not too bad for Florida, actually. Philadelphia, so many cards. San Diego, lots of cards. Seattle Kingdom, 1-70 lefties, 1-50 righties. Hey, I haven't seen Griffey yet, have you? I don't think we've seen Griffey. Is he hiding in the bottom of this stack? Open. California. Chicago. Tommy, 20 homers. Only hit 167 against lefties. He's only 24, though. He's going to figure that out, guys. I have a feeling about this kid. He's going to figure out how to hit lefties. Detroit. Kansas City. Milwaukee. Here's Puckett. Kirby Puckett, age 34. 20 homers, hit over 300. Nice card. 738 slugging against lefties. There's some lefty killers out here, man. Kevin Elster was a Yankee. Here's the other Junior Noboa card. Anthony for Seattle. Tim Davis for Seattle. I still didn't see Griffey. Dean Palmer and his 19 homers in Texas. Maybe I just missed him. Alomar for Toronto. Solid card for Roberto Alomar. 26 years old in 94. Just at the beginning of his prime, really. Here's the crime dog. 34 homers for Atlanta in 94. 31 years old. 34 homers. 333 versus righties. 293 versus lefties. He slugged almost 700 versus righties. Steve Bichelle with a solid season, looks like. Kevin Mitchell, 30 homers. Hit over 300 against both sides. Slugged 769. 9 homers and 78 at-bats against lefties. Some of these right-handed batters are damn scary. Dante Bichette, 10 homers and 105 at-bats, batted 400 for the Rockies against lefties. And 27 homers total. Looks like he batted about 340. Maybe a little higher. Getting down to the nitty-gritty. I must have missed Griffey. Mike Piazza, 24 homers for Los Angeles. Very, very solid card for Piazza. By far the best hitting catcher card in this set. A fun set to play with, man. Here's Rod Henderson, Ricky's lesser-known cousin. Kidding. Frank Seminara. Okay. Guy wanted to be a priest, ended up being a baseball player. Doug Brocale, Kurt Manwaring, Portugal. We're going to have to go through and make sure Griffey's there, man. It's making me nervous. I don't know why. I feel like he had a big season, too. Got a Boston. We got a Detroit. We got an Oakland. There's always an Oakland. Every time. And there's always a Texas. Every time we get into the weird ones. These in-between cards. There's always an Oakland and always a Texas. And always a Pittsburgh. and almost always to St. Louis. And here's Joe Robbie Stadium in Florida. Really made for football, but if you're a left-handed batter, 1 to 36 wheelhouse. If you're a right-handed batter, 1 to 62. And that's it. All right, so let me check Seattle just for Griffey. I don't remember seeing him. Was he? He wasn't hurt the entire '94 season, was he? It's possible. He was hurt a lot. I don't think he was hurt that badly that early in his career, though. There's A-Rod, Reggie Jefferson, Chris Howard, Rich Gossett, Jay Buhner, William Wilson. Oh shit, where's Tino Martinez, Randy Johnson? Did I see his card 2 hours ago and I forgot about it? Or did he get stuck to somebody else and end up in the wrong stack? Here's Edgar, Milt Hill. Oh no, he was literally the first Seattle card. Literally the first Seattle card. 40 homers. Monster card for Griff. 40 homers. And that is it. Cards are sorted. Got nothing to do but put them in order, print out some score sheets, and start playing. That's the nice thing about this. I'm going to have a twofold approach to this project. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play them manually on camera, the old-fashioned way. Cards and dice, score sheet, as played, right up until there are no more as played, and then we'll figure it out from there. And then the other thing we're going to do is I'm going to use Digital Diamond to keep the roster straight day by day, and to keep the stats. So when we go into a new game, I'll be able to tell you who's hot, who's not, who's on hitting streak, stuff like that. So, but I'll score those after I play the game probably, unless I can figure out a way to do it easily during. We'll see. Table set up, just not enough room sometimes to do all that, but we might be able to figure it out. In any case, I'm going to take it off right now. It's 2:45, just about. I need a little break, get up, move around, maybe get some nice healthy snack like some mixed nuts, and then we're going to come back with the first game of the 1994 project, probably in about an hour, if I was guessing, maybe a little sooner. So thank you guys who hung out with me and for stopping by for this 2-hour 1994 card sorting stream for Payoff Pitch Baseball. It's fun to see a lot of these names. Obviously, we know who some of the real front runners are, but I think all the teams have some interesting players. And it'll be really, really fun to see what happens with this project over the long haul. So, my name is Joe. This has been JC Sports Replays, coming to you from Shrewsbury Township, New Jersey, by way of the Bronx, New York. We'll see you in a little while. Thanks for hanging out. If you did not follow, and if you're watching this video at a later time, remember, I'm here. See, I'm real. I'm a person. That's my dog.
That's Oscar.
That's my dog, Oscar.
He's the best.
He is the best. He's pretty awesome. He's a Cavalier King Charles, and he's tired because he went on that hike with us this morning. So I actually have a top of my head, but my arm doesn't want to go up. There we go. And there's books behind me. That's just how I live. So yeah, I look like I could use some water and a little walk around. So, but thanks, guys. Really appreciate you hanging out with me. Follow the channel, hit the like. It really helps me out, and we're gonna try to get at least a game a day in of this '94 project going forward. And when I don't feel like streaming, I'll play my '73 project. And there's a blog for that. You can follow it on there. It's not up to date. I'm about a week and change into the season. I'll get it up to date this week. But we're back, baby. We'll see you soon. Oh, I want to stop the stream. Yes, okay. It's okay to stop the stream.